Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's jump into today's story about a particularly brazen customer who took forgetful to a whole new level. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Elderly client caught stealing again. Oh, it must have fallen into my bag. So here's some background. I work at a spa, and one of our regular clients is this elderly woman who's been coming to one of the owners for her nails for ages. She's probably in her 70s, and she's a huge pain because she's always at least 30 minutes late for her appointments. To manage this, we've started telling her her appointment is at 3:30 when it's actually at 4, just so she'll show up on time. The owners let her get away with this behavior for so long that it's become a routine for her. We usually don't care much because it only affects the owner's schedule. But after her most recent appointment, I saw her steal a bottle of hair product right from the display counter in front of me. She'd already paid for her service and waited for my coworker and I to get distracted at the desk. Then she casually walked over to the seating area where her purse was, slipped the bottle in, and zipped it up. Stunned, I confronted her, and she acted like she didn't know what was going on, claiming she was going to ask about the price. Yeah, sure. I immediately told both of the owners. One of them thinks she's just forgetful, but the other, who actually does her services, doesn't buy that excuse. I was horrified to think about how she often spends around 20 minutes roaming through our retail area after her appointments. Who knows how much stuff she's taken? The owner decided to keep an eye on her from now on, so I informed the front desk to keep watch as well. Fast forward to yesterday, her first appointment since I caught her stealing. After her appointment, she started her usual routine of browsing the retail area, touching everything, opening things, and acting like she was shopping, with a small open-top bag hanging from her arm. Since we were busy at the desk, I asked my coworker, Sarah, to tidy the retail shelves and quietly explained why. Sarah grabbed a rag and proceeded to clean the shelves while shadowing the woman like it was her full-time job. She gave her the best customer service imaginable, answering all of her questions and providing details on every product. I swear, this woman shopped for a full 45 minutes. Sarah was completely worn out by the end, but the retail area had never been so spotless. Old lady, OL, finally sighed and said she couldn't shop today, but looked around enough. She was almost out the door when she got distracted by our expensive leather purses. I could see Sarah was about to drop from exhaustion, but was immediately told to go dust the desk near the purses. OL took every purse off the display, checked the price tags, ranging from several $100s, and put them all back. Just as Sarah was cleaning the desk, I heard Sarah exclaim, "OL, you have one of our purses." I turned around and saw OL trying to sneak out with one of the smaller purses tucked under her arm. I quickly approached to take it back, but she put her hand on my arm and said, "You must watch me, my dear. My memory's not so good." Oh, sure. I then started showing her the sale purses, and as I glanced into her bag, I spotted a brand new travel makeup brush, the exact same brush we carry. I realized we have some of these in kits she'd been looking through. I told her I needed to check in the back for more sale purses so she wouldn't leave, and I rushed to the makeup kits. Sure enough, one kit was missing the brush. I came back with the kit in hand and said, "Oh, well, you have one of our travel brushes in your bag." She immediately tried to put on a clueless act, saying, "Oh, I don't know what you mean," as I pulled the brush out. Then she offered the dumbest excuse ever for stealing. "Oh, well. Oh, it must have fallen into my bag when I opened the kit." Yeah, sure, that totally makes sense. It would have been a little less ridiculous if she hadn't then wandered over to another set of brushes and said, "Oh, I need some of those, but I can't afford them right now." Like, am I supposed to just say, "Sure, go ahead and take them, no problem"? I don't care if you're old, it's not an excuse to steal. Keep your hands off our stuff, lady. Kudos to Sarah for stepping up and turning into a retail ninja, shadowing her every move like it was a spy thriller. But can we talk about how OL blatantly tried to play the helpless grandma card while clearly running her own personal shopping spree? Sorry, OL, age doesn't grant immunity to getting caught red-handed. It's wild that she had the nerve to keep browsing even after being confronted. Props to your team for handling it with class and persistence, Because if I were there, I'm pretty sure my patience would have hit its expiration date fast. And our second story. Lady demands 15 ice cream cones with coupons she likely stole, ends up drowning in a melting mess. Some backstory. This takes place about 5 years ago while I was working at a certain fast food chain store that does car-side service. I was a crew trainer at the time, just below managers but above regular crew, so I got to deal with a lot of stuff managers didn't want to deal with. Our store had a program where we sent coupons to local schools as grade incentives. Generally, this needed to be signed and dated for us to take them, but so long as they stayed within reason, we would honor them anyway. Fast forward a couple of hours into my shift one day, I'm car hopping and see a lady walk, this is important, from the sidewalk of the street. We were a good 15 to 20 minute walk from the nearest houses onto our patio area. She rings in and I take the order, where she then proceeds to tell me she has some coupons she'd like to use. No problem, usual stuff. She then tells me she has 15 coupons for 1 free ice cream cone. I go outside to arrive and see that all the coupons are brand spanking new coupons we just sent out to schools. So my thought is she works with the school and swipes some from the ones we sent out. Usually they need to be signed and dated by a teacher, but nope, these are all blank. None of them are expired, so I tell her I can honor these, but I have no carrier for them, and she'd need a way to carry them as she was here by herself. She promises me she'd be fine, so what do you do in this situation? That's right, you get triple confirmation of which every time she promised she would be fine and I needed to stop worrying. Needless to say, management went through the whole spiel if she had no way to carry these as I returned back inside, to which I informed them I had made that clear to her and she said she would find a way. So I get to work making 15 deliciously cold ice cream cones, of which I can only take out 4 at a time. So cue first batch, I go outside, place 4 cones on the table, and before she can utter a word, back inside I go. Repeat 3 times. As I bring the last few out to her, I can obviously see she's overwhelmed with what is a table that I can only explain as a sticky, melting time bomb waiting. What's the first thing out of her mouth, you might ask? May I get something to carry these with? You can't honestly believe I can carry all these, right? In the most I don't understand how you could overlook this detail you told me about tone you can muster. Cue my one time I ever basically got to tell a customer off at this job in the most polite way possible. I'm sorry, ma'am. No, we don't have any carriers for ice cream cones, as I explained before making all of them. I'm sure you can find a way to carry all of them, though. This awakens a rage inside her, because, gosh darn it, she did not start yelling to get all 15 of her coupons back from my stupid butt. Putting on my best, please the customer smile I could muster, I told her that that was impossible, as I'd ripped all of them when I took them inside, as they were obviously stolen from the local school, and if she had any more problems, she could address them with my manager. Needless to say, she backed off when I mentioned the whole stolen part and sat down defeated with a table of ice cream cones in front of her that she had no way to transport. The woman's audacity to steal school coupons meant for kids and then act as if you were the problem is next level absurd. Honestly, the moment she sat down to face her melting mountain of cones is priceless. I love how you called her out for likely stealing the coupons. It's the kind of subtle clapback most of us dream about. This story, a solid win for karma, and a reminder, listen when people warn you. And our last story. Neighbor hijacks my electricity for mining, ends up moving out. About 2 months ago, I started noticing something strange. My electricity bills had skyrocketed, and I mean skyrocketed. We're not talking a small increase. It was the kind of bill that made me wonder if I'd unknowingly set up a full-scale carnival in my apartment. Naturally, I called the building management right away. They assured me they'd look into it, but I could already tell it wasn't going to be a quick fix. The next day, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I called the police, not for immediate action, but to ensure there was an official paper trail. Then I contacted the electric company to see if they could shed some light on the situation. Their response? I'd need to pay for a technician to come out, conduct an inspection, and make a formal report. Great. Just what I needed on top of my massive bills. Fortunately, building management stepped up, for once, and arranged for an electrician to investigate. The electrician's report confirmed my worst fear: someone was tampering with my electrical panel. I wasn't just footing my own bill, I was covering someone else's electricity usage. Didn't take long to figure out who the culprit might be. The way the meters were set up in the building made it easy to narrow down the suspects. Each panel served 2 apartments, and mine was paired with the unit next door. I started asking around the building and heard whispers about my neighbor running a Bitcoin mining operation. Yes, Bitcoin mining, an electricity guzzling activity that explains my outrageous bills. When I finally confronted my neighbor, let's call him Kevin, he had the audacity to act smug about it. "You won't find anything," he said with a smirk, "but you're welcome to check my place." His cocky demeanor told me he'd already cleaned up whatever operation he had going. Still, his behavior was suspicious enough to push me to dig deeper. The electric company confirmed that someone had been interfering with my panel. It wasn't just speculation anymore, it was a fact. Armed with the electrician's report and the confirmation from the electric company, I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to sit quietly while Kevin turned my electricity into his personal gold mine. I filed a lawsuit against Kevin. The evidence was solid, and I was determined not to let this slide. This wasn't just about the money, although I was absolutely furious about the bills. It was about the principle. What kind of person thinks it's acceptable to steal electricity from their neighbor to fund a get-rich-quick scheme? The lawsuit hit Kevin like a ton of bricks. Suddenly, his smug attitude disappeared, replaced by frantic attempts to negotiate. He offered to pay me back for the extra electricity costs, but by then, it wasn't just about the money. I wanted accountability. The case is still ongoing, but the building management is already talking about evicting Kevin for violating the terms of his lease. A month later, Kevin moved out, and I considered that a victory. People like him count on their neighbors being too passive or too overwhelmed to fight back, but not this time, not on my watch. Such a crazy story. First, the nerve to tamper with your panel and rack up sky-high bills, and then to act smug about it? He clearly underestimated your resolve. Filing a lawsuit wasn't just bold, it was absolutely necessary. Kevin deserved to face consequences, not just for the money, but for his sheer lack of integrity. And the cherry on top? His eviction. It's satisfying to see someone like that lose both their scam and their home. Good riddance, Kevin. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.